Voucher versus Charter Schools by Daniel Herzog and Kelsey Green. First, vouchers. So you might be asking yourself, what is a voucher program? Educational vouchers refer to a system of public educational finance in which parents are given a tuition certificate by the government that can be used to pay tuition at any approved school, public or private. Voucher programs have become more prevalent in education today. They are used most often in large urban areas or areas with high poverty. Examples include Milwaukee, Cleveland, Florida, and most recently Louisiana. In most cases where voucher programs have been set up, the vouchers are used to attend private religious schools. The problem with this is that private schools are not held to the same standards as public schools. In Zellman versus Simmons-Harris, Ohio's pilot project scholarship program provides tuition aid in the form of vouchers for certain students in the Cleveland City School District to attend participating public or private schools of their parents' choosing. Both religious and non-religious schools in the district may participate. In 1999 and 2000 school year, 82% of the participating private schools had a religious affiliation, and 96% of students participating in the scholarship program were enrolled in the religiously affiliated schools. The Supreme Court ultimately decided that it was not against the Constitution because parents were not forced to send their children to private religious schools. The parents had the choice of where to send their children. However, a recent court case for a voucher program in Louisiana had both proponents and opposition. Governor Bobby Jindal wanted a voucher program set up in his state. As one advocate said, this legal battle attempts to prevent children who have been assigned to persistently failing schools the opportunity for a better education at the school their parents have determined is in their best interests. However, Judge Timothy Kelly ruled the program unconstitutional because it improperly diverts money allocated through Louisiana's public funding formula to private schools and diverts local tax dollars to private schools. Among the opposition to the program, one state senator said Judge Tim Kelly's decision to declare Act 2, Governor Jindal's voucher plan, an unconstitutional use of minimum foundation formula program dollars is a victory for all those who believe that public education is an essential pillar of our democracy and of our prosperity. You might be asking yourself, what are some pros and cons about voucher schools? Some of the pros include everybody should have choice of schools. Competition between schools equals results. Voucher schools would increase diversity by having inner-city children in private schools. Finally, as the Supreme Court stated, voucher programs are not imposing religion, as the parents still have choice of where their child will attend. Some of the cons, on the other hand, include schools that voucher students attend are often religious-based schools. Voucher schools take funds away from public schools. Private schools are not subject to the same standards as public schools. Private schools can choose who attends while public schools cannot.
Now we're going to take a look at charter schools. Charter schools are basically public schools that are independent. They are held accountable for improved student achievement just like other public schools. They are also open to creativity, and they usually use alternative teaching methods, like having a new or changed school day or school year. They are also exempt from many public school rules and regulations. Andrew Kelly, who is a research fellow in education policy studies at AEI, states the basic principle regarding charter schools is to create new institutions that receive public revenues but functions outside the existing structure of school districts. In exchange for attaining outcomes promised in renewable contracts, or charters, the schools are freed from most regulatory constraints except those addressing basic safety and civil rights. One interesting fact regarding charter schools is that the first charter school ever opened was in 1992 in St. Paul, Minnesota. And since then, the number of charter schools has increased quite a bit in the United States. As you can see with this chart, in 2012, it has shown that 5,500 charter schools have been in the United States. Now we'll look at some of the pros regarding charter schools. First of all, many studies have proven that charter schools are just as successful or more successful than regular traditional charter schools. Also, they found that charter schools motivate competition between traditional public schools and charter schools, which can lead to some benefits in education. Also, many charter schools foster certain skills, including things like art and math, which can, in some cases, help students who would like to become involved in that certain skill or subject. Also, with charter schools, there are more public school options. So instead of just the traditional public schools, they also have a range of charter schools that might have a variety of different aspects to them. Also, charter schools increase discoveries of what works because they are able to use creativity and they can do things in different ways that traditional schools cannot due to regulations and rules. This can lead to more discoveries about education. The last pro that we have is that they are indeed held accountable in performance. They do have to take certain tests and they have to perform well in order to continue and to continue receiving public funds. Now we'll look at some of the cons of charter schools. First of all, many studies regarding charter schools have mixed results, and they show that charter schools have varied in success. Some are very successful while others are not very successful. Also, people say that charter schools aren't available for every single person who wants to attend them because the schools have a limited number of students, and normally charter schools are smaller than the average public school. Also, some say that charter schools are not accountable due to the lack of rules and regulations. Another con is that some say that charter schools are financially inefficient because the other public schools lose enrollment and therefore funding, which then hurts the traditional public schools. Also, they are seen sometimes as unfair when they compete with other public schools because they have an advantage from their smaller size and lack of regulations. Another con to charter schools is that less money goes into the classroom on average. Many of the charters that are run by for-profit companies put 50% of the budget towards the classroom, which involves teacher compensation, special education, and transportation, while traditional schools usually put 60% of the budget toward those areas. Some say that charter schools also have less diversity because they have target markets which will cause more people of the same background to go into the schools. Now we're going to take a look at a video by CBS regarding charter schools, titled Charter School Controversy.
The Stanford University survey of charter schools in 16 states offers a mixed academic report card. Nearly half showed no difference, and more than one-third of the charter schools were actually worse than their public school counterparts. Less than 1 in 5 perform significantly better than traditional public schools.
In the hundreds of schools that are doing a great job, they obviously have cracked the code in terms of producing positive outcomes regardless of the students that they serve.
Charter schools are now the teacher's pet of education, thanks to the Obama administration's Race to the Top program, which has encouraged states to adopt significant education reforms in order to receive additional funding for public schools.
And now that we've taken a look at the general attributes within the charter schools, we thought it would be interesting to take a look at a school within the Eau Claire School District, which is a charter school called Montessori. The Eau Claire Montessori School opened in August of 2002, and its class size ranges between 25 to 30 students. The lessons are slightly different than what you would see in traditional public schools because it has lesson plans that can involve either small groups or individuals. It also goes at individual paces, so it can go slow or fast, depending on the individual, and the lessons are supposed to be brief. We looked at state tests within the Montessori school compared to traditional public schools in Wisconsin, and we found that this year that the majority of students were either proficient or advanced in reading. We found also that their strengths were in reading and math, although we discovered that in the end, it rated about average compared to Wisconsin as a whole.
Vouchers versus charter. How about neither? Voucher programs and charter schools offer some solutions, but there are too many flaws within them to be advocated for.
Thus, we are advocating for the improvement of public schools without voucher programs or charter schools. There's a large variety of success and failures in charter schools, much like public schools.
And voucher programs have shown little increase in student achievement. Yay, public schools!